A Republican state senator from Virginia named Richard Black made some uncharacteristic comments for a Republican this week about the United States and our military. So here's what he said in an interview with RT. He must be a Russian spy or something. He said, quote, "There is no doubt that we are spending an immense sum of money on the Middle East regarding wars. The real question is that we are spending $23,000 per taxpayer. That is what we have already spent. There are going to be future costs. We are moving more troops into Afghanistan. There is no question that eventually we will lose that war. It is just a question when we will decide to pull out. And the fact of the matter is that by fighting these wars, I think the real question is, are we actually increasing terrorism?" This is a Republican saying this. "When we began in 2001, Al-Qaeda amounted to perhaps several hundred or maybe 1,000 people in Afghanistan. We've gone from having a very relatively small group of terrorists to where at its peak, ISIS was fielding multiple mechanized divisions supported by tens of thousands of infantry. It seems like the more that we engage in the war on terror, the more terrorists we produce." Damn. He continues, "Whenever we inject American forces into a foreign country, as we are doing in many of the African countries today, it acts as a point for terrorists to coalesce around. They are able to go after the people and say, look, we are occupied by a foreign army. No country wants to be occupied by a foreign army. And so it is a tremendous recruiting tool. Frankly, I think if we just get out of it and let some of these countries handle their own affairs, they'd muddle through. We could send the military aid support, but keep American troops out of here. Stop all the drone attacks and all the bombings, because I think they are very counterproductive. I think they are hurting the American image around the world very badly." Isn't it sad that a Republican state senator from Virginia has moved to the left of almost the entire Democratic Party on the issue of foreign policy? How pathetic is that? You don't hear any elected Democrats talking about how, oh, and by the way, also, even the drone stuff, let's stop. The best you get from some Democrats is, yeah, Iraq was the stupid war, but Afghanistan, hey, maybe stay in Afghanistan, and that's all I got for you. So you end Iraq, and that's the best they go. No, why don't you say end Iraq, end Afghanistan? Ro Khanna says end Afghanistan, but then the drone point too. This guy's like, no, the drone strikes are creating more terrorists. This is a fucking Republican state senator. He's moved to the left of Democrats on foreign policy. What does that tell you about the Democrats? Come on, guys. But that's the problem, is that by and large, both parties are for military intervention. There really is no non-interventionist party. You have some libertarian voices like Rand Paul and this guy here in the Republican Party, and then you have some progressive voices, populist-left voices like Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna, who are relatively more non-interventionist in the Democratic Party, and Tulsi Gabbard. But it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And unfortunately, I think what's happened is both parties, the establishment of both parties, has bought into American exceptionalism. This idea, which I think is kind of like a fundamentalist religion, because that's how it manifests itself in the real world. The idea that the answer is always more United States and more United States troops, and that solves everything. So, hey, we're in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan, we're in Somalia, Pakistan, Yemen, Libya, Syria, and that's where, hey, we should be. The more we do, the better we are. Except the evidence is the opposite. We're making everything worse. But that's always the answer to these guys. More U.S. military involvement, even though we're a pathetic joke. We've done war crimes. You know, in Syria, for example, we're just confused. You have CIA armed rebels fighting Pentagon armed rebels. We're on both sides at the same time and bombing the Syrian government and then attacking the people that the Syrian government is fighting, ISIS. And so, yes, the answer is to get out. Get out, mind our business, and do it ASAP.